Hey guys, it's April 1st, and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Unlimited podcast, right here, right now. Hey guys, this is your host, Timmy, on the Pro Wrestling Unlimited podcast, and you guys have been asking for this for quite a while. Pro Wrestling Unlimited started back in August of 2015, and with your guys' help, we've grown to just about 1,500 subscribers on YouTube, and we have, with the new Facebook channel, almost 800 followers there. Twitter, I don't do enough on Twitter, I feel, so that one is kind of a low number, but that's probably my fault. But I do want to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed on YouTube, who's liked us on Facebook, and of course, follows us on Twitter, because without you guys, we couldn't be doing this here today, having our first edition of the Pro Wrestling Unlimited podcast. So let's get right down to it. This weekend, WrestleMania. There is so much going on this weekend. Where do I start? Well, let's start with NXT Takeover Dallas, since that's the first show WWE is putting on Friday night tonight on the WWE Network. So let's run down the card. We have Apollo Crews versus Elias Samson, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin versus Austin Aries, Tag Team Title Match, The Revival defending against American Alpha, Women Title Match, Bayley defending against Asuka, and the NXT Title Match, Finn Balor defending against Samoa Joe. Now, half of these matches are predictable, and the other half not so predictable. So let's go with the predictable matches first. The first, super predictable match, Apollo Crews is going to defeat Elias Samson. I mean, why would they have the Drifter defeat Apollo Crews? Apollo Crews is most likely going to be the next big contender for the NXT Championship, I feel like, coming out of Dallas. Now, Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. It is to be noted, this is an interesting note, that in the official WrestleMania 32 program book, his name is not Shinsuke Nakamura, it is just Nakamura. So, with Sami Zayn moving up to the main roster, no longer being on NXT, this is going to be like his send-off, his final show for NXT. Nakamura is going to get the win. Not only is it because he's debuting, but it's because he's going to be sticking around in NXT. We don't know how long before he's moved up to the main roster, but since Nakamura is going to be sticking around, it only makes sense for him to get the win, so he's got that momentum going forward. And next up, the other predictable match. Well, this one's a little harder to predict. I feel Austin Aries is going to defeat Baron Corbin, because first off, it's Austin Aries' debut, and the way he made his on-screen debut with Baron Corbin attacking him from behind and laying him out, I just feel like Aries is going to get his, and he's going to get the redemption on Baron Corbin. I don't know if they're going to go anywhere with that feud following. I really don't think they will, as NXT usually doesn't push feuds farther, like past takeover specials. I was really surprised when they put Joe and Balor again for the championship at 2 takeover specials in a row, because you don't really do that often. I remember probably the last time we had like multiple of the same kind of match in a row, it was probably when Neville was the champ and going against Sami Zayn. But other than that, I feel like, they like to just boom, 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 next feud. Now, the tag title match. I feel like the Revival is going to lose. Now, hear me out. American Alpha is probably the hottest tag team in all of WWE right now. Not just NXT, but NXT and the main roster. And if they don't give these guys the titles, I mean, they have to. I'm not saying this just because I've heard the rumor that WWE may be bringing the Revival to their main roster by the summertime. No, I'm saying this because American Alpha is amazing. They're two guys that they put together that they weren't planning on putting together when they signed Chad Gable. Like, it wasn't, oh, we have this Jason Jordan guy who's a great collegiate wrestler, and then we signed this guy who wrestled in the Olympics. Let's put him together. No, there was never that thought until finally, Jordan he needed something to help his career, and so they thought maybe this Chad Gable guy will debut him with Jason Jordan, and they just exploded. The crowd loves them. Everybody loves them. I feel like American Alpha will walk out tonight as the NXT Tag Team Champions. Now, these next two matches, the women's title match and the NXT title match, these ones are hard to predict, especially the NXT title match. But let's go with the women's title match first. Bayley defending against Asuka. Now, everybody wants Bayley to lose in sense that if she loses, she can move up to the main roster faster. Okay, that makes complete sense. They're not going to have her come to the main roster as the champion. I mean, we've seen it happen before. I mean, Paige, Sasha Banks, but what they're going to need to do is they're going to have to find a way to have Bayley lose the title, but not lose any momentum herself, because they can have her come to the main roster Monday night. I'm going to talk about this a little more from what I've heard. I'm going to go more in depth, but there's going to be a big to-do, a big deal with the women's division Monday night. So I feel like Asuka's probably going to win the NXT Women's Championship Friday tonight. I mean, I feel like Asuka's probably going to win the NXT Championship, the Women's Championship, tonight from Bayley. Now, this next one, the NXT title, this is a hard one to predict because there's so many contradicting stories going on with both Finn Balor, the champ, and Samoa Joe, the challenger. From what I've heard, whoever loses this match will make their main roster debut either the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, or the following week. Now, originally, when Samoa Joe was signed to NXT, that was it. He was signed to NXT, and they were only going to use him there to help grow the younger talent, to help get the younger talent ready for the main roster. But they've been so impressed with Samoa Joe that they're now investing more in Joe, putting more into Samoa Joe. They're now seeing what the fans have seen in him for over 15 years, and it's just, I love that they're not thinking of him anymore as just, oh, here's this guy that we can use, a veteran in the professional wrestling world that we can use to help grow and elevate, newer talents, get them ready, face these veteran type guys so they're ready when they do make it to the main roster. No, they now feel that Joe can make it to the main roster. Now, Finn Balor. Here's another guy that he's been around wrestling forever, for 10, 15 years. And we know he's coming to the main roster eventually, but when is the question? Finn Balor, he's ripe. He's ready. His stock is right there. Throw him on the main roster now, please. I feel like Samoa Joe, he's been this dominant force. He's mowing through people, just beating everybody in NXT, and it's perfect. So maybe they can give Samoa Joe the NXT title, have him run with it as a heel champion, and not only does it make more matchups, more interesting matchups within the division, within the brand, if you want to call it that, but I say have Joe go over at NXT Takeover Dallas. Have Joe become the new champion. I mean, first off, what makes me feel like Joe is going to win as well is Joe lost in London. So why give Joe another match? Why book Joe as the challenger the next takeover, like 2 in a row? Because they're going to have Samoa Joe win. It only makes sense, not only because Finn needs to come to the main roster, and he's more rumored to be coming than Joe, but booking, the way they've booked this is Joe's going to win. Joe is going to be the NXT champion. Finn Balor will then be able to come to the main roster. Like I said, the rumor is either post WrestleMania Raw on the 4th, April 4th, or the week after. Now, whether he's coming with Gallows and Anderson, if they're going to do their own thing, if they're going to be with him in the Balor Club, that right now, there's so many crazy stories going on about that right now. I can't even predict what they're going to be doing with Gallows and Anderson. All right, so let's move on to WrestleMania. The WrestleMania card is going to start off. This is going to be a long show. If you're going to be in Dallas, I mean, plan your potty breaks accordingly. So, because I was at WrestleMania last year, and I know, I mean, when you're there, you don't want to miss anything. So what I did was, I just missed the Divas Tag Match. I partied during the Divas Tag Match, to be honest. That's what I did. I went and got another drink, another snack, took my time. As soon as that match, I mean, but that was just my preference because I wasn't really into the build or any of that match anyways. So maybe this 10 Diva match, that can be your first potty break. And then I would not try to skip the Divas title match, though. And I'm gonna get to this in a minute. But the show's going to start off, and from what I've heard, the first match of the night is the U.S. title match. On the kickoff show, Kalisto versus Ryback. Now, I feel this one can go either way. There's no real way to predict this that much. I can probably see Kalisto winning. I just feel like there's too much with Ryback. They've tried to give him championships before. They tried to give him the Intercontinental Championship. They tried to make him a contender for the WWE Championship when CM Punk was the champ. And it just... It just didn't pan out, and the crowd never really got behind him. Not that they wanted him a heel or anything. It's just the crowd was just not behind Ryback at all. So I feel like Kalisto's going to retain his championship. Now, the 10 Diva Tag Match. That match is just fully up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen. I at first thought that the good guys were going to win. The baby faces, the Total Divas team. Then they come out here and they throw Eva Marie on the Total Divas team, thinking she's going to get this tremendous face pop. And no. The crowd booed the hell out of Eva Marie on Monday night. And to be honest now, I feel like Here's how I think it's going to go. I feel like they're going to keep Eva Marie a heel, put her on this Total Divas team. We're going to think she's a good girl and good guy, whatever you want to call it, and then she's going to screw her team. She's going to help the other side, and the bad and blonde, whatever they're calling this team, the team bad and blonde, are going to win it. Then we go on to the Dudleys versus the Usos. This is one where you would have thought a couple weeks ago the Dudleys were going to win because they were pushing the Dudleys as this new heel Dudley boys, and they were going to no longer use tables and this and that. And I feel like the Usos, oh no, if you think about it, the Dudleys have been helping out Triple H and fighting Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose and stuff recently. So if you think about it, the way they've been booking the Dudleys, I think the Dudleys are going to go over the Usos in this match. All right, so next we have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. This is another match where you can't really predict it. I mean, last year, you didn't think Big Show was going to win. I mean, a little bit you thought Big Show was going to win because they kept talking, all the build to last year's match was that Big Show had never won a Battle Royal. Big Show had never won a Royal Rumble. Big Show had never won a match of this type. But they haven't really been pushing anybody to make you think they're going to win this match other than maybe Big Show, because he's the one. Whenever they talk about the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and the build to this match, they've either been talking about the Big Show or Kane. So I feel like it's going to come down to one of those two guys. I could be wrong because this is, like I said, another one of those harder matches to predict on the WrestleMania card, but it's going to come down to Big Show and Kane most likely as the final two. All right, so next up we have, now this originally was supposed to be for the tag team titles, but now it is just a battle for tag team supremacy, a 3-on-4 handicap match between the New Day, the tag team champions, and the League of Nations. Now, according to Dave Meltzer, every time he's on the Wrestling Observer Radio and this match comes up in topic of conversation, all he says is, just wait, This match will surprise you. The only reason we're doing this match, the only reason WWE has this match booked the way they do is because something big is coming for the New Day. So that right there just makes me think the New Day is planned to win this match. So why wouldn't they have had it for the titles to start with? I heard originally it was supposed to be just a 2-on-2 tag match, but then the WWE came up with this idea. I'm not sure what. I know there is one rumor going around, which is right now the main rumor of The Rock could be the fourth man to even out this match, but there's a lot of rumors about The Rock for WrestleMania. They say that he's going to help Roman Reigns. They say that he could help Shane McMahon against The Undertaker. But, so we'll have to wait and see exactly what this big, culmination is going to be for the New Day at the end of this match. Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles. That's almost a no-brainer. I feel like Styles is going to win. It's his first WrestleMania. Jericho has been the big heel in this match. They've been talking about how it's, they're pushing a lot how it's Styles first Mania. And Jericho's like, you can't beat me. I'm the best in the world. You may have beat me once, but then I beat you and this and that. And yeah, Jericho's going to lose. Styles all the way. 7-man ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn versus Dolph Ziggler versus Miz versus Stardust versus Zack Ryder versus Sin Cara. I feel like it's going to be one of two men. Either Owens retains or Sami Zayn comes out of this as the new WWE Intercontinental Champion. That's my opinion. I mean, Ziggler, Miz, maybe Ziggler. It's not Stardust, Ryder, or Sin Cara. Miz, he's a better shot than those three. Ziggler got a better shot than Miz, but I feel like it's either going to be Owens retaining, which is, to be honest, my first pick on what I think. If I had to say flat out what's going to happen, I'm pretty sure Owens is going to retain. But then I'm on the fence a little because I think they could go with Sami Zayn. Triple threat, Divas Championship, Sasha Banks. That's all I gotta say. Sasha Banks. There are rumors that if Sasha is, all I've heard of the rumor on this match, this is gonna happen. This is what they're planning. This is all I know is that it has been rumored that no matter what happens, when this match is over, Sasha Banks is gonna be crying. So she could cry because she's going to lose, or she's going to cry because she just won the Women's Championship. Well, Divas Championship at WrestleMania. And I feel like that is exactly why she would be crying at the end of this match. Sasha Banks, think about it. They have kept Sasha Banks away from the championship since they debuted last summer, right before SummerSlam. They haven't even put her in a No More Contenders match. Well, now coming into Mania they have, but I mean before this she hasn't even hinted, hasn't even sniffed around the title, and it's because they're so high on Sasha Banks that they wanted her to get her moment at WrestleMania, not like Charlotte, oh, you're gonna go win it at some random pay-per-view. No, they want Sasha Banks to win it at the show of shows. Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose in a street fight. No holds barred street fight. We already know this match is gonna play with a lot of, like Paul Heyman said, weapons. This match is I've heard this could be a bloody match. Vince doesn't like blood. Brock likes to bleed. Ambrose ain't afraid to bleed. This could be your classic drag out, knock him out, fight him to the death style, hardcore street fight match. Now, it might not be like super hardcore. I'm not talking Terry Funk, Mick Foley style hardcore, but this could be a pretty good match. And I feel like Dean Ambrose is going to lose. They can't have Brock Lesnar lose clean okay, no, take that back. Dean Ambrose is going to lose if it goes down clean. But if the Wyatt family comes down and attacks Brock Lesnar, not to help Dean Ambrose, just because they don't like Brock Lesnar and they want to attack Brock Lesnar, that is the only way Dean Ambrose is winning this match. So if it goes clean, bada bing, bada boom, no interference, Lesnar. If them damn Wyatts come down, Dean Ambrose. Now, there's some contradiction on what are we calling the main event for WrestleMania? Is the main event Shane and The Undertaker? Or is the main event Triple H and Roman Reigns? In my opinion, Shane and Undertaker needs to go last. So I would say the co-main event before your main match is your... Yeah, okay. Let me get this out there. I know people are going to say, but hey, Timmy, the main event needs to be the championship match. That's what we fight for. If you're a professional wrestler, you want to be WWE champion. You want to be that world heavyweight champion. So you have to put that title match on last. No, not in this sense, because think about it. Shane versus The Undertaker. It is pretty much for the company. If Shane wins, he's in charge. He stated if he wins, if he beats The Undertaker, he will fire Triple H and Stephanie that next night on Raw. So think about it. We have the Hell in a Cell match. Taker loses. Shane wins. Triple H knows he's getting fired. Why would he come out and wrestle in the main event? Why would he go defend his championship? For pride? Why would he risk getting injured? Why would he go out there and do for Shane? Because you think about it. Shane beats The Undertaker. He's now in control. So Triple H is now working for Shane. He wouldn't do that. So they have to put this WWE title match on first. And I feel in this match, Roman Reigns, he's coming out the champ. They've given so much crap to Roman Reigns. They're trying to make him the new Daniel Bryan, where you beat him, and then he finally gets that moment. He finally gets that, big, you've done it kind of celebration. But the crowd ain't going to be behind him unless you turn him heel. A heel, badass, I'm going to whoop you every day of the week Samoan is what the fans want. It's what Roman Reigns can do. I feel like you make him this guy that all he has to do is come out there, beat you down, and say, hey, I'm the champ. This is my title. No one's going to take it from me. That'll work. I think Roman Reigns is defeating Triple H at WrestleMania. Now our main event. Well, in my opinion, the main event. The Undertaker versus Shane McMahon inside Hell in a Cell. Here's my first question. Why is everybody coming up with the, oh, so-and-so's going to interfere, or oh, so-and-so's going to interfere, or oh, so-and-so's going to interfere? They're inside a locked cage with a ceiling. You ain't getting in unless you can break the lock off the door, or if you somehow convince the referee to give you the key and unlock it, or in the case of Undertaker versus Edge, you somehow spear the guy through the Hell in a Cell. But I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like Shane's going to win because they wouldn't be pushing this whole Shane McMahon, you're going to get the company, this and that, blah, 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 for nothing. Now, Vince did state that The Undertaker, this would be his last WrestleMania if he loses to Shane. But think about this. Shane McMahon wins. Shane comes out the next night on Raw and says, I know Undertaker was only doing what Vince told him to do. I know he's just being Vince's bitch, if you want to say. And he just did what Vince told him, and that's why he came out there and that's why he fought at WrestleMania against myself inside Hell in a Cell. But I respect The Undertaker so much that I'm going to let him come back if he wants next year for WrestleMania. I'm going to let The Undertaker come back whenever he wants. I'm in charge now, I'm the new Mr. McMahon. Shane McMahon, running Monday Night Raw. So in turn, I have all the control, all the power. And I feel like he's going to tell The Undertaker the next night on Raw, you can come back. That's not your last WrestleMania. I'm vetoing whatever Vince said before. So I feel like that's one good major way it can go down. Alright, so let's get on with some of the big news from this week. Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella. Everybody's asking me what is going on with these two. Are they just fed up with the WWE for some reason and they just want out, they want gone? From what I'm hearing, Daniel Bryan was scheduled for all these different events, and now I think he's coming to the realization that I can't be around this right now. It's too much. Yeah, I know there's other people that have had to retire, like a Corey Graves, and they stuck straight around. They never left. They got a job within the WWE. They got a non-wrestling role. Good for them. But the things I've heard about Daniel Bryan since his retirement is that right now it is too hard for him to be around, and he just needs that time to himself. He needs to evaluate what he's going to do outside of wrestling, what he's going to do not as somebody within professional wrestling, and maybe he needs Brie's help with that. Maybe he needs Brie to be there for him, and that's why instead of retiring in the summer like she was planning, she's moved it up to the night after WrestleMania. Oh, Mr. John Cena. So there's a lot of contradicting stuff on John Cena right now. There's some that think John Cena coming out at the WrestleMania 33 press conference and going on record saying that he will not be cleared to wrestle a match at WrestleMania 32 is and isn't a lie and a swerve. Some think, he didn't lie. He's not getting an actual match at WrestleMania. He could be interfering in a match. He could be a deciding factor in one of the finishes of a match. A lot of people think he's going to come out and help Shane. A lot of people also think he's going to come out and help Roman Reigns. But a lot of people think a lot of people are going to help Shane. A lot of people think a lot of different people are going to help Roman Reigns. And I feel like all these different, interference in this match, interference in that match. Why do you guys think every match on this card is going to have a lot of interference? The only one I know for sure where interference makes sense is the street fight, Lesnar and Ambrose. Like I said, the Wyatts are probably going to come down, attack. Here's exactly how I think it's going to go. Lesnar's about to win. He's got Ambrose beat down, bloody pulp. Right? Okay. He's about to go for the pin. Lights go out. All of a sudden, lights come back. Boom. He's surrounded by the Wyatts. They beat him down. Dean Ambrose kind of crawls over, not sure exactly what happened, looking around, sees the Wyatts like, oh, crap. Pins Brock. I feel like that's the only match that's going to get the big interference. All these other matches, if they do, cool. But this is the only one that really makes sense. All right. So I told you when I announced that we were doing the podcast, we were doing the first edition this week, that we would also unveil our new segment, our Pro Wrestling Unlimited Power Rankings. So let me run down exactly what this is going to consist of. All I'm doing is WWE. I know people are going to say, well, why not add TNA? Why not add Lucha Underground? Why not add ROH? It's just the easiest way to go. Maybe I'll add them in eventually, but the WWE, that's what most people watch. That's who most people know, so that's what we're going to stick with. Main roster, Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views. I'm doing this a little different than most people do their power rankings. Most people do their power rankings solely based off of this person did this on this show. It was cool. He did this better than this guy, so I'm going to rank him up higher. I'm doing this like a fantasy league. Points. Here's how it's going to run down. If you have a match or an appearance on a TV show, Raw or SmackDown, you get 1 point. If you win a match on Raw or SmackDown, 2 points. If you lose a match on Raw or SmackDown, you lose half a point. Now, if it's pay-per-view, if you have an appearance or a match on a pay-per-view, 2 points. If you win a match on a pay-per-view, 3 points. If you lose a match on a pay-per-view, you lose 1.5 points. Now, if you're in the main event, 3 points. If you win the main event, 5 points. And if you lose the main event, you lose 2.5 points. So, I've been keeping tally for the month of March so we can finally get our power rankings here before WrestleMania, and this is how our first set of power rankings go. Our number 1, well actually, let's count it down from 10. Number 10, WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Triple H. Number 9, WWE Divas Champion, Charlotte. Number 8, WWE Intercontinental Champion Kevin Owens. Number 7, The Usos. Number 6, Sasha Banks. Number 5, The League of Nations. Number 4, Dolph Ziggler. Number 3, Dean Ambrose. Number 2, Sami Zayn. And our number 1 for the month of March and this first week of Power Rankings, WWE Tag Team Champions, The New Day. Every week on this podcast, we will unveil the top 10 for that week. Your points will be accumulated from your appearances or matches on SmackDown, on Raw, and if there was a live special or pay-per-view that week. Alright, so we're almost done here for the first edition of the Pro Wrestling Unlimited podcast. I wanted to keep this to a 30-minute show, but with all the WrestleMania and NXT Takeover predictions we did, going a little longer than we wanted. So I'm only going to do a couple of the questions that you guys asked. So let's get started. Abe J asks, when did you get started watching wrestling? It's an easy one. It's about 97, 98. I had watched it here and there because my grandfather was into watching wrestling. So I had seen a match or two here and there. But then in about summer, I think it was summer of 97. New kid moved in across the street. We became friends, and he told me, hey, I watch this show every week, Monday Night Raw. It's about wrestling and guys fighting in the ring and stuff. I kind of knew what wrestling was then, but I wasn't, into it, didn't know how everything worked out. So I watched a couple with him, and I really liked it. And over the next year or so, started getting invested, starting learning who all the different wrestlers are, putting the names to the faces, learning their characters, who's this, who's that. And that goes into the next question. Chris D asks, who was your favorite wrestler growing up, and who is your favorite wrestler now? Growing up, I was a huge Stone Cold Steve Austin fan. Plus, I love the Hardy Boys. Now, if I had to pick one, I'd go Stone Cold. But I just, Stone Cold, he was a badass back in the day. He was that anti-authority guy. Everybody wanted to be Stone Cold because he did what he wanted. Then you have the Hardy Boys who go out there and they do all these flip tricks. And they were high flyers in America. They were like the precursors to now Neville. Those are the guys that got this high-flying style, in my opinion, really over in the WWE. Because before you had guys that did moves off the top rope. You had Shawn Michaels who dove off the top rope. You had the Macho Man who did an elbow drop off the top rope. But doing flips and leg drops and all these different types of moves off the top rope and off of ladders and stuff, I feel like the Hardys is what really got that stuff over in the WWE. So growing up, my favorites were Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Hardy Boys. But now, it's not even a question. My favorite wrestler now is Seth Rollins. I feel like Seth Rollins is the damn greatest wrestler in the world right now. Now, some people are going to object, say no, it's got to be this or this. Now, if this was 2 years ago, if this was 3 years ago, if this was 2013, my favorite wrestler was CM Punk, because CM Punk was the greatest damn thing that ever lived. CM Punk, in my opinion, was one of the best professional wrestlers of his era. Then when he left the WWE, my favorite, Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan could do no wrong. Daniel Bryan was the man. But now that both of those guys are gone, I fall back on my third favorite. Right now, my favorite wrestler out of all, Seth Rollins. Let's get on to the next question. Brian O asks, what version of the WWE Championship belt do you like the most? Simple. The current version. I just like the simplicity. It's just the W. It's the WWE logo. That's it. Now, if it wasn't that one, then I'd have to say the belt that JBL held for quite a while on SmackDown, the one that he had, the one that Brock Lesnar had, the one that The Undertaker had back on SmackDown. That was a great design, but I feel like the design they have now, the super simple, just the logo, perfect. And finally, the last question. I'm not sure what he was asking here, Daniel D, but it says Stone Cold or Rock. So I'm guessing he wants me to just choose one or the other. Stone Cold. Stone Cold was my favorite wrestler growing up. I'm going to choose Stone Cold over The Rock. Then his question goes on, Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns? To be honest, I'm not a Dean Ambrose fan, so I'm going to have to pick Roman Reigns. I know a lot of people are going to give me heat for that, give me hate, like, how can you pick Roman Reigns over Dean Ambrose? But I feel like maybe it's just the character Dean Ambrose. I've just never been able to get into the lunatic fringe character, so I have to pick Roman Reigns. Daniel's question ends with Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens. I don't even have to give an explanation. Kevin frickin' Owens. So I think that's going to wrap it up here this week on the Pro Wrestling Unlimited podcast, guys. Remember to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. And if you guys want to suggest something for me to talk about next week, if you want to ask me a question, if you want to suggest a segment, if you have an opinion about the show, if you want to even voice your voice on this show and you want to be a special guest, let me know and I'll arrange it and make it happen. So from us to you, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on Pro Wrestling Unlimited.